This is Nick, and in this video I'm going to show you a little bit about malware removal with the offline operations page right here. Offline operations are designed to work on offline Windows partitions, and by offline I mean you're booted to a WinPE based boot CD on that computer, or you have that the hard drive you're operating on attached to a tech computer and you're working on it from there. So let's get started. Okay, when you first come to the Offline Operations tab, D7 is going to make a guess at the target partition that you're trying to operate on. Now, it knows it's not C drive or whatever your local operating system partition is. So it's going to find the next Windows installation it can find on any partition that is not the operating system partition. Now, if you've just attached your client's hard drive to a TechBench computer, say via USB, and D7 was still running, you can just click the refresh drive listing button, this little green doohickey, and it will refresh the drive listing and attempt to make that guess for you again. First off, we have Find Move shortcuts. This will find the Start menu, desktop, and quick launch shortcuts that were moved to a temp directory by malware and move them back. If nothing is there, of course, it will do nothing. Next, we have Reset Hidden Volume, which resets the hidden attribute from just about every file in the user profile directory. Now, that has a side effect. Well, first I should say you should only use this if you have the malware that actually hides all of the user's files. The side effect is that it will unhide the desktop.ini files, and the ones in your Start Menu Program Startup folder and your desktop folder may start in Notepad every time Windows starts. So you want to delete those. Windows will recreate those as necessary. Okay, next we have delete temp files. This is going to delete all of the temp and temporary internet files from the offline Windows install, including all user profiles. This does not, it used to, but no longer does it delete cookies and history, because frequently we'll want to save some of that so we can figure out where the malware came from if you're doing any reports generation once you get on the live system. Next, we have the pre-malware scan. If you've seen my video on malware scan, you know that the pre-malware scan deletes file system and registry objects. That means keys and values in the registry, or files and directories in the file system, where you have blacklisted them in malware scan previously. And of course, we have malware scan offline. This is D7's internal sort of hijack this auto run kind of thing. We'll show you that in a minute. Next we have purge system restore, which does exactly that. Fix shell run. This actually imports the default values to the registry that controls the launch behavior for executable files such as exe, combat, command, and even reg files. Next we have remove policies, and this will move policy settings that any malware may put there, or anything legitimate as well. You only have to worry about this being an issue if your machine is, say, on a domain, and all you need to do is remember to do gp update /force the next time you log in after you get the system clean. Next we have kill rename ops. This deletes all the pending file rename operations from the registry on the target partition. Those pending file rename operations are that section of the registry is used by Windows or software installers, malware, lots of things can use that key for legitimate and illegitimate purposes, and basically it's used to delete files on reboot, or move them, or replace them. So usually we want to stop all operations like that if we're working on an infected system, in case malware is using something there. So this will delete those. Next we have the IFEO modifier offline. This stands for image file execution option. IFEO modifier is something that you use to essentially create an entry in the registry that will prevent an executable from launching. So if, for example, you have malicious executable.exe on that Windows installation and you can't keep it from running, you don't know where it's launching from, when you're offline, you can use this IFEO offline to create the IFEO so that that executable will not be able to run the next time you start Windows. There also is an IFEO modifier online under MISC internal tools, which you can use on a live system. Of course, a reboot is required for that to work. In the case of malware, a reboot is not required for the IFEO to take hold, but if the malware is already running, then you'll need to reboot naturally, but on that reboot, the malware won't be able to run. But that's kind of getting off track of the offline aspects. And then we have custom apps. You can put anything you want here. This area is actually prime for virus scanners, especially those with command line parameters that you can fully automate. If you've got something in the list you want rearranged, you can move it up and down with these buttons. But regardless, that's your custom apps. And below that we have copy D7 to desktop. This of course copies the entire D7 folder that you're working from to the desktop, the public or all users desktop of the computer in question that you're working on. That way you can get started working with D7 right away as soon as you start boot to that hard drive. Okay, well I guess I'm going to show you Malware Scan now. Instead of run through the entire auto mode. In Malware Scan, the majority of this is stuff that you should know if you've watched the Malware Scan video, but I will run through a few brief things and show you some malware removal techniques with it. The first thing to notice is it's operating on the H partition, which should be the same as the target partition on the offline tab. Once that's configured correctly, the only other thing that you need to configure on this screen is the Find New Files config for this option down here, Find New Files. The point of that, of course, is to find files created or modified within the last number of days. You want to set that to whatever days you want. I'm going to set it to 5. So anything found within the last 5 days will. Also, I should tell you that the Find New Files function only searches your user profile directories in your Windows directory. It does not search anything else. I think what I should probably do is expand that to search the program files directory. Honestly, I have just wanted to keep the searches rather small so they're rather quick and get where most of the malware hides, not necessarily the ad and spyware, which you typically tend to find in the program files directory. But I can expand that, and in fact I might make a config option for it here in the future. That way it will be up to you. Okay, let's start. I have a small infection on the system here that I'm working on, and you can see that I have Search Protect All and Web Cake Desktop. Those Search Protect, those aren't good. So I'm just going to select those, delete them. Delete any associated files. Yeah, we know they're bad, so we'll delete the files also. Services. I'm scanning and I'm seeing some services here. Now notice there's only a few services, and I should tell you about, if you don't know about Malware Scan's whitelisting functionality. If you find a service that you know to be good and you whitelist it, you'll never see it in this list again. So it's like, for example, I see, well, actually nothing in here is probably good. Some of this stuff might merit some research. I know WebCake Updater is bad. Google Service Update is probably good. Let's see. Well, default tab update, that's not good. Search Protect by Conduit Updater, that's definitely bad. I want that gone. Some of these other services that don't have a name, description, or a path might warrant some research. And in your research column, of course, you have Google, where you can Google the name only. Open Reg Path if you want to directly open that path in regedit. Search the registry, where you can search the registry for like names, verify signature. You also have the create IFEO. This only works for items with a file. And of course, other things that only work for items with a file, like in your run keys, would be Google with path, open file path, find duplicate files, and is DLL loaded. That, of course, is only for DLLs. And then send to Virustotal. That, of course, is for files. And rename file and rename with dummy, which creates a dummy file or directory. But the whitelist, blacklist, and delete and these items right here work on registry entries as well. So since we're operating on primarily registry stuff, we'll leave it here. Next, we're moving on to enum, root. All of this stuff is I don't actually have a whitelist set up for this, so I don't really know much of what I'm looking at, and I'm just going to leave that alone. Browser helper objects, boot execute, IFEOs in case there are any added in by malicious software that you need to delete. Those are not good. We'll get rid of those. All right. Let's see. All of these are registry values up until this point. If you don't know what you're looking at, then please check the online manual and let's go from there, because or do some research, do your Googles. The online manual will tell you specifically what registry keys all of these branches refer to. So if you're used to looking at a certain area in the registry, you may want to know. I mean, this is sort of my shorthand for what that value is. Now we have host file. Here are your task scheduler. I think the Google stuff is good. I know Top Arcade hits and this unknown, I don't know what that is not good. So I'm going to delete those items. Startup folders. Out of place files. I don't know what that one's doing there. That's actually a decent file. I will tell you that just about every file you typically find here is malicious. It's generally safe to delete a lot of stuff here, but I would do your research on the individual file first. For example, if you click on a file, you have the file attributes, whether it's hidden, the size, all that good stuff, whether it's signed. You can Google this and it'll pull up Google the name only, Google with path, open the file path, etc., etc. I know that file actually is okay. Just going to edit this in. I forgot to show you the send to Virustotal. If you do you find on a file you want to examine that, send it to Virustotal. This will open up the Virustotal website and give you the results for that file. And this one looks clean. I did want to let you know about this. Of course, you have to close the Virustotal uploader after you're done. It won't close automatically. If it's the first time you've used Send to Virustotal within Malware Scan, you will have to install the Virustotal uploader. Once it's installed, D7 will actually copy that to its local directory structure, and then you have the option to uninstall it from the system, which you should probably go ahead and do. And at that point, you have the Virustotal uploader located within D7, so the next time you click the button, it'll just work. But I just wanted to let you know that the first time you do this, you may have to do the uninstall, and then you'll have to click it a second time to actually do the upload. and we'll do the temp directory. Hopefully, if you did do the delete temp files function here first, you will not see anything here in the temp directory. I actually know that everything here is going to be bad, and it's a temp. I mean, they're temp files anyway. I only know that everything there's going to be bad because I just infected the machine after clearing temp files. Now we'll move on to our find new files. And it's already found white smoke and all kinds of good stuff. All kinds of new files. I don't know what a lot of these are, but I know what some of them are. Of course, you can still, do your research. If for some reason, well, typically if you're running with Malware Scan online and then you can't delete a file for some reason, you can create the IFEO. But with offline Malware Scan, that's not important. So I know that most of this stuff is going to be bad, so I'm going to select all and then just go through and unselect what I'm not sure about. And again, I'm not really doing a removal in front of you. That's Brytek's job. I'm just checking out a few items here just to show you what's going on with this with Malware Scan. Now, registry DLL, that's bad. Uninstaller, updater. These files are actually okay. Just delete those items. Okay. All right. Windows directory files. This will show you all files and DLL, all executable and DLL files in the Windows directory that it doesn't recognize. Anything that's not on your whitelists. We've got System32 drivers. This will show you every driver in System32 that's not in your whitelist. That's not necessarily bad stuff. System32 files, again, this is just like the Windows directory search. Executables and DLLs that do not reside in your whitelists. Then we have our alternate data stream scans. I haven't really seen malware use alternate data streams in quite some time, so we're not going to even bother with that right now. And then we have Ntfs Junctions. This will scan a volume for junctions. Most junctions that you find here are normal and they're used by Windows, they're created by Windows, and you do not want to delete them. However, if you know what you're looking at, for example, you know you have a zero access infection on the machine, it happens to be the variant that creates a junction on top of its payload so that you can't delete it normally. That's what you definitely want to delete with this function. But otherwise you don't. And the junction scan, by the way, can take some time. It does scan the bulk of the volume. So while that junction scan's running, I'm just going to minimize this because that will take some time. Actually, that's about all that I have to report for the malware removal offline with D7. One more thing of note before you do get started, you have the number name here. That's of course for your ticket number and your, oops, wrong tooltip. That's of course for your ticket number. Click on that and you can change your ticket number or your client name. So that's handy dandy if you're trying to actually save your reports to the right client name and ticket number, especially if you're going to upload this to PC Repair Tracker later, or you want to match those reports up in the folder structure within D7. You want to match those reports up with the you want the same directory structure as you have on the system once you boot it up and you finish doing your removal with D7. Let's see, my junction scan is complete, and as I promised, I have a bunch of junctions and symbolic links that are totally fine. All users, application data. These are leftovers from, say, Windows XP that are no longer in Vista 7 and 8. So for backwards compatibility, Microsoft has created the junctions for us. Cookies, default user, etc., etc. Documents and settings, you see. So that's all good. Oh, gosh. When you close Malware Scan, it will unload registry hives. Just be patient. That will take a minute. What Malware Scan does is it loads all of the registry hives for all of your offline user profiles and the main Windows software and system hive. So it definitely has to unload those hives to avoid any sort of registry corruption once it's finished. Oh, and I forgot to show you one thing about Malware Scan offline. And we'll go back to it. Where was an area that I left some result? Temp Directory. If, for example, you can't see the entire path of a file or anything within Malware Scan, you can't see the whole item, just double click that item and it will bring up a detail box where you can see the whole thing, copy it to the clipboard, do whatever you need to do. Okay. And I think that about does it for this video. If you have any questions or suggestions for other videos, let me know. The email is foolishtech@foolishit.com. Thanks for watching.